Thursday morning, and I'm here with Professor David Crystal. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, good morning, Fiona. Yes, well, as you say, Professor David Crystal. I'm an honorary professor of linguistics at the University of Bangor in Wales. I used to be a full-time university professor, but then I left to become a kind of independent, and that's 30 years ago now, actually. And I'm here at IATEFL, as I am every year, because I'm the patron of the organisation. It's slightly odd to be a linguist and a patron of a teaching organisation, but there is a synergy between the two, and I think that's why I'm here.
Right. And what are you working on at the moment?
Well, always a variety of things. The most urgent thing at the moment, my son Ben and I run a website called Shakespeare's Words, shakespeareswords.com, and it's the way into Shakespeare's language, and we're just revising that, and it's a huge job, making it up to date and making it faster than it was, adding new features and all of that, and that's going to launch on Shakespeare's birthday, the 23rd of April.
Right. And you say we know you're the patron of IATEFL, and you have been for over 30 years now, so I imagine the conference has changed a bit in that time? Enormously.
The size is the most noticeable thing. I mean, come on, a few hundred back in the 90s, and now nearly 3,000, is it, this time?
2.5, 3,
And some 500 sessions, breakout sessions here and there. The scale of the enterprise. Now, what does that reflect? That reflects extraordinary depth, an increase in depth of exploration of what it means to be an English teacher. And there are topics today that would have been inconceivable 30 years ago. The most obvious one, of course, is technology. Everybody's sort of interested in how you can actually bring technology into the classroom to make it work well. And the other big thing, of course, is the fact that the internet exists, and as a result, there are all kinds of surveys of usage and ways of accessing the way the English language is around the world. Global English now, of course, being such a big thing. Very difficult to access that 30 years ago. Now, dead easy. If I want to find out about South African English, I just go into Google and type South African English, up it comes. So they're the two big things, and I see that sprinkled across the contributions that people are making.
And Thursday, so we've been here, 3 days now. Any standout moments, or many standout moments?
No, not in the sense of contributions, because I go to the plenaries, but I don't usually go to the breakout sessions, because it's not my world. I'm a linguist, I'm not a teacher, and it's only occasionally that I'd find something that there would be a synergy there. But wandering around, and especially wandering around the publishers' exhibition, what stands out is the extraordinary liveliness and diversity and dynamism of the publications that are out there now. It used to be a little bit boring once upon a time. There was a series on teaching English, and they all had the same sort of cover and slight differences in colour maybe. And now you go around, it's like going through a cartoon almost, with the colourfulness jumping out at you. I think that's the most noticeable thing I've had.
And I suppose people coming up to talk to you, they tell you their stories as well.
They most certainly do. I'm privileged. An awful lot of people have read something of mine. Or these days, of course, have seen me on YouTube and the like. Yes.
Cyberstar.
Well, I know. And they just value the opportunity of having a closer natter, even if it's only for half a minute or so. We do a Meet the Patron event twice during the session, during the conference, and it's full of people who just want to come up and say hi and tell me a little bit about them and ask me what I'm doing and all the rest of it. And that bonding is part of what IATEFL's all about.
Exactly, yes.
There are some conferences where there are tens of thousands of people there. You haven't got a chance really of feeling you're part of a family, whereas IATEFL, the F for IATEFL, I think, is family.
Yeah, could well be. Yep. And on that subject, I'd like you to tell me a story, please, about why IATEFL is a sexy acronym.
Yes, every year I address the associates at their evening do on the first day before the conference starts. And they always ask me to say something, so I always try to think of something absolutely ridiculous. Nothing too serious at all. But actually, this year, I thought I'll just apply the principles of sound symbolism. Now, sound symbolism, everybody knows it because it's when you have a word that sounds like the object. Splash sounds like the event splash. You know, cuckoo sounds like a cuckoo, and so on. There's been a lot of research done now into sound symbolism. Onomatopoeia, people often call it in literature. Yes. And what you find is that the most beautiful words in English, often the sexiest words in English, are words which have got lots of syllables in, 3 or 4 syllables, like, you know, mellifluous and celandine, that sort of word. Lots of nasals and laterals, and l. But more important, long vowels and short vowels joined together. Yes. And if you think of all the famous people in literature, you know, Peter Pan, James Bond, Mary Poppins, long, short, IATEFL. Right. And you suddenly see that it's actually a very cute sounding acronym. So before this, I went and asked a few people whether what if I gave them a nonsense word, because they wouldn't know what IATEFL was, you see. These are just ordinary people. And I said to them, what comes to mind when you hear this phrase? And they said, oh, it's cute. And one person says, oh, it sounds a bit sexy. And I thought, that's it. So if you want to join a nice, sexy, cute, beautiful sounding organisation, you'll join IATEFL, you see.
I like that idea, yes, as a member. Well, we just have one more day of the conference to go. Is there anything you're looking forward to, or planned, or even visiting Brighton, although the weather's changed?
Oh, well, no, I've been to Brighton many, many times, and so I'm not going to be a tourist here, but I'll tell you one thing, I am looking forward to John Agard's final plenary. I know John very well, we've worked together several times. He is one of the most wonderful performance poets. And it's always good to have I mean, this has become a bit of a tradition, hasn't it, at IATEFL, to have the final session, a performance of some kind. And it just raises, everybody goes out on a high. And with John Agard, it couldn't be higher.
Right, well, thank you very much for coming.
Pleasure, Fiona.
See you around the book exhibition.
Hope so. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.